Hi, Pete here from Eco Fires and Stoves in Fleet. Just want to go through some old ground, some stuff I've been through before. It's that time of year, beginning of the season, when people are starting to use their wood burners, and we're getting those phone calls again. It happens year after year, and I just think I should go over this again. So it's easily found, this information online. It might seem like simple Boy Scout and Girl Guide stuff, but a lot of people don't understand, and a lot of it is because the way things are sold to people. Okay, you've got to have a real understanding of how a wood burner works, and it becomes very plain and simple. So what we're getting now is phone calls. Had my wood burner installed last year, I've gone to light it, it's gone out. I've lit it, it's been on for an hour, there's no heat coming out of it. I've opened the door to load it, it's billowing smoke out all over the place. This is pretty much 99.9% of the time the wood that goes in it. Now, as much as people say it isn't the wood, I bought it from a company that does Kiln Dried, it's guaranteed. Okay, it's never guaranteed. This is what we're finding. So people are buying wood in, trying it on their stoves, and instantly thinking there's a problem with the stove. It's a bit like buying a petrol car, putting diesel in it. It just isn't going to work. Okay, but instantly you're going to think, what have I done that's differently? You won't remember that you put the wrong fuel in it. It was just going to break down. That's what's happening with wood burners. Okay, so the fuel, the wood that you're putting in it, one needs to be the right size, not too big a bit, but most importantly, it needs to be the right moisture content. That cut-off point with moisture content is below 20% moisture. Okay, if it's above 20% moisture, you're going to have issues. It's as simple as that. There's no ifs or buts. It's going to really struggle. Now, the reason it struggles is because the energy that that log is giving out or producing is being spent on boiling the water, the moisture within the wood. Now, this isn't moisture that's come from the rain from outside and what have you. It's moisture that the tree has used to grow for all those years. That's right within the log. So that moisture content, if you're going to measure it, and I highly recommend you get one of these, that's a moisture meter, 20, 25, up to 30 pounds. Very simple bit of kit, but very accurate. You push the prongs into the piece of wood, and that's going to tell you straight away what your problem is. Okay, if it's above 20% moisture, it's going to start to be running incorrectly. Now, don't just go and get your bit of wood out your pile and stick that in there, because that's going to give you the moisture level on the outside. It's already started to grow out there. What you need to do is split the log, then put that in. So you could put that in there on the outside, and it's going to say something like 15 to 20% moisture. You split the log, put that in, it's probably going to say 35 to 40% a lot of times. And that just isn't going to burn. So it's going to leave, if it does start to burn, it's going to go out and just leave you with a big lump of charcoal in the bottom where it hasn't burned, hasn't given you out any heat. It's going to be smoking. This is even more important these days because it's going to be the end user's responsibility to make sure their stove's running correctly. So if you get a complaint from a neighbour or something like that your chimney smoking and everything else, you could potentially, especially later on when we try to meet with Europe and everything else the way they do it, you could potentially get in a bit of trouble for that. So we need to get on top of this. It's most of the time it's the end user not understanding, not doing things wrong, just not understanding. Once that moisture content is below that 20%, you're not going to have an issue. If you can get it down to 10 and below, brilliant, you've got some lovely fuel. An easy way to tell, well, you know, if you haven't got a moisture meter, there's little things you can do. Excuse the phones and the customers in here. It's a busy time of year, so I can't do anything about that today. You'll feel that the logs feel a little bit heavy. Straight away, you'll just notice that. When you knock them together, bit of a dull sound. This is damp wood. I picked it off from a damp wood pile that I'm already drying out. So you got that. Quite a dull sound. You get some dry wood. What a difference. That's straight away, it's an indicator. I've just called it an audible indicator. I'm going to call it that. So they're little things, little telltale signs. It's going to help you just understand the way that wood burner runs. Okay, and I wanted to go through this again, really, not just to help you out, to help us out as well. So if this information is found on YouTube like you're doing now or whatever, it's saved a lot of phone calls, and it's hopefully explained it in a way that I explain that over a phone, probably 5 or 6 times a day, or going out to see customers with some dry wood. Not just to prove a point, but just to put customers at ease that there's nothing wrong with their wood burner. Okay? Like I say, if you don't put dry wood on, the symptoms are the stove will not run. It will just fill up with smoke and it won't give out any heat. When you open the door, it will smoke back at you. Okay? Getting it lit to start with is almost a no-go. And you won't get that lovely pile of clean ash at the end. You'll get a load of lumps of black wood that haven't burnt out because they're wet. So that's that. So I hope that's a little bit helpful and helps you understand how a wood burner works. I could go on and bore you all to death, but that's just one very important point at the moment.